mindset, attitude, and approach to life. So those 3 key things being what high achievers all have in common, their approach to all of these things. And again, we're going to get into more of this as we go along. So has anyone heard of this idea of, so this is the action reveal, we're going to get to that. Big Y, yeah, launch goal, lead gen. We're going to get to all of this. It's all just the beginning part. I feel like this is, sorry guys. So I really like how they've set this up. I feel like I'm not in the one I'm supposed to be in. So this, by the way, all of this stuff is accessible to you, right? You guys, do you know how to log in and what you were doing in order to get to this? Did anyone go log in yet to do all this? Yeah. Okay.
Manual thing?
Yes. Yeah. So you all have this manual. So as you're seeing things, it's all accessible to you when you log in. So don't feel like you need to scroll notes or like copy something that you see on the screen. What Gary starts with this whole idea is becoming a master at anything you attempt to do. So it's called the concept of self-mastery. And what that means is if you're going to be a listing agent, well, you're going to be the best listing agent out there. You need to master all the skills and all the things needed in order to be that person and be the best at it. So the idea of self-mastery and it's the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you is the concept there. And when you commit to achieving self-mastery, you know your goals, you know your strengths and your weaknesses, which is really important. A lot of times we only look for strengths. We're not necessarily looking for what our weaknesses might be. We're sometimes, putting those to the side. And we know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to seek and master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals. So throughout Ignite, you will be acquiring the skills and developing habits to be successful, moving you toward self-mastery. So again, in the world of Keller Williams, the self-mastery is something that you'll hear a lot in that term. Step 2 would be committing to the 80-20 principle rule. And what that means is that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results. Okay? So 20% of your actions. So what that also, the concept of it is it's about getting the most from your time and effort, right? So rather than it being flipped, it's actually only 20% lead to 80% of your results. So in Ignite, we identify your 20% for you, your money-making activity, which is basically lead gen. So if you spend 20% of your time doing lead gen, then that's going to give you 80% of your results because that is what turns into profit. So that idea. Okay, so when we talk about the 80-20, that's what it is. 20% of your time leading to 80% of your results. Step 3 is this whole idea of moving from E to P. So moving from E to P, and does anyone know what E to P means yet? No? Okay. So, yeah. Purposeful. Yeah, you got it. Okay, good, super. So high achievers are always looking for the purposeful way. Okay, is the concept. By doing this, they break through the ceiling of their natural behavior. We've all heard about the concept of a ceiling and getting to a point where, am I going to achieve more than this? Am I going to be better than this? Can I get through this? So that ceiling exists for everybody, and usually the blockage that we have to reaching beyond the ceiling is within our own heads. It's in our own minds, and we create these self-limiting beliefs, right? So what real high achievers do is they start as entrepreneurs, and that's what we think we are, and that's what we think we're doing, but a lot of times entrepreneurs are a little bit scattered and all over the place and doing one thing versus the next, versus being very focused and mastering what they're doing and becoming purposeful in what they do. So E to P means entrepreneurial to purposeful. Ignite is not only designed to help you start your business, it's designed to help you grow your business. So that concept. Ignite will help you move from entrepreneurial to purposeful with skill mastery. Okay, so it's that idea, moving from E to P. Okay, so that's one of the steps. Step 4 is make being learn-based the foundation of your action plan. So A learning-based individual is an individual who has made the decision to use effective learning as the foundation piece of their action plan to develop their life. So constantly using our brains, growing our brains, and learning, rather than sticking with what we know and trying to grow from there. Chris, in your industry, in the tech industry, it's constantly changing. You're constantly learning. And if you're out of the industry for just even a couple months, you're having to catch up, would you say?
Even the way that I would write the software now versus what I had done 2 years ago, it takes a lot of effort.
Would be different, absolutely. And as much as we think something like real estate, you might be able to know how to sell a house, well, let me tell you, especially because of technology, we have to be constantly learning and staying on top of things in order to stay current. And I feel like, you know, if you talk to a younger generation, it would just be something that's natural to them. It would be like, of course you do, that's what we would do. An older generation, maybe not so much, because it wasn't a part of their upbringing, it wasn't ingrained in them the same way. But really, it's the whole idea of always be learning, always be using our brain, always expanding, and if we're doing that, then we're always growing, as people and as business people. Number 5, step 5 is remove your limiting beliefs. And this is, again, in bold they call it the drunk monkey. And it's this little monkey that sits on your shoulder and basically says, you can't do that, you're not good enough to do that, and why do you think you'd be that kind of a person? You know, it's that concept of that we have this little limiting belief that almost talks to us sometimes. And it's about being able to remove that. And if you start to hear it, being able to say, you know, see you later, buddy, get out of there. I know I can do this, I believe in myself, I'm willing to put the work in, the effort in, and try, so I'm willing to work on this. High achievers remove beliefs from their thinking that hold them back. So it's you being willing to step outside the box and believe in yourself more than what you might have done up until now. So it's redirecting negative thoughts into positive thoughts is the key there. So anytime you're having negative thoughts, being able to redirect those into having positive thoughts.
Would you say an important part of that is being able to identify when you're having negative thoughts?
Absolutely.
A lot of people just have them and not realize what's going on, and that's a lot of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to identify when you're in that mindset and then adjusting as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Great. So a huge part of this business is being accountable. And you know, you've gotten here to this point to create an entrepreneurial business because you have a certain type of personality and it's led you down this path. Now you're here, and sometimes we get to this point of thinking, oh, it's all about me, and I don't need to be involved with anyone else. But being accountable, as you know, in a job setting, is extremely important to make sure things are getting done. But then in this circumstance, every successful person has a coach. Even Gary Keller, as an example. You know, so it doesn't matter what level you're at, but having an accountability piece put into that helps you accomplish and achieve the goals that you set out for yourself. Okay? So an accountable person says, everything in my life is a result of my choices and actions. I own my life. So rather than your life happening by default, it's actually happening because you've purposely made decisions. Okay? So it's our concept. So, gosh, the amount of Kellerisms there are is like over the top. And so I'm going to try and go through as many as I can today, but it's like really, really hardcore. There's so many of them. And even when you see some of the stuff on the walls, or if you go onto klw.com and look at that stuff, like they've really invested the time and energy to create scripts and sayings and things for us to use to make our lives easier and better and more successful. So we move into this concept of getting the most out of this experience, and the way that, I guess it's Diana Kokoska who wrote all like the BOLD program, for instance, a lot of these things, she came up with the ideas. There's kind of three people that you could be. So during this Ignite course, you can be one of these three people. One is called the prisoner, one is called the vacationer, and the other one's called the explorer. Okay, and I'm sure that even just those three words will, obviously, you'll think of certain things yourselves. So the prisoner has to be there, doesn't want to be here, and doesn't know why they're here. The vacationer is a day in training is better than a day on the job. And the explorer is excited and curious about the new knowledge, skills, and tools they'll discover in class. So in a perfect world, everyone here today is an explorer, right? And not the vacationer and not the prisoner. Because if you're not the explorer, chances are the prisoners and the vacationers will not be here at the next class or the next one. They'll drop out, they won't stay. But if you're willing to keep an open mind and be an explorer, then you'll stay, you'll keep coming, and you're gonna learn from this, okay? So hopefully you're all explorers today. Okay, so you will be doing things like using words like action reveal. You'll be reporting on your missions, and your missions will be your calls that you're doing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays with your groups. So you'll be reporting back to your group on how that went the next, I think you'll do it each morning when you call in with each other, just to say, here are the calls that I made, here's how it went, it was really successful, or I got a lead, or I had an opportunity, or I didn't get any success, I could use some help. So you'll be within your groups having those discussions. There'll be expectations set out for you by each of the faculty members about what to expect and what will be happening at each of the sessions. And there's just some basic ground rules. Things like being on time and participating and coming with the explorer mindset, that kind of thing that you'll be talking about at each of the sessions. Scripts, we're going to be using scripts a lot. We'll get into that a little bit more. Some people, as soon as they hear the word script, irks, and it almost gives you shivers, and you're like, oh my gosh, and other people are like, love it, give them to me, I want more of them. So again, explorer mindset is extremely important when it comes to scripts. Is anyone using a script right now in their businesses and in their lives? Does anyone have one that they use all the time? Do you have one that you're using right now?
Working on it.
You're working on it? Yeah,
I'm working
okay.
on it.
And that's a really good point. Scripts don't just come naturally, it is. And it takes practice and it takes time, and over time, scripts become part of your everyday sentence and they roll right up your tongue and no one would even know that it's a script because you're using it so often. And one that I've used for many years, that I learned from my mom years and years ago, is when you're sitting in front of a seller and you tell the seller that, the process of selling your home is a big process, and when you hire me as your realtor to help you sell your home, I want you to know that I'm going to be looking out for your best interests. It's kind of like getting on a plane, and when you get on a plane, you're going to go from flying from A to Z, and the goal is to get to point Z in the safest and most efficient manner as possible. And when you get on the plane, there's a pilot there that's going to take you from A to Z, and the pilot can't guarantee that there might not be turbulence. But the pilot's going to do his best or her best to minimize that turbulence for you, because that's what you've hired the pilot to do on that plane. And they're going to get you safely from A to Z in the end. So as long as you put your trust in the pilot or in your realtor that I'll help you get there, that we're going to make a great team and we're going to work well together. So these are the types of things, are scripts that you learn and adopt into your language, so that when it comes time to using them, when you're having any kind of objection from in a listing presentation, for instance, these scripts will just be like, oh, it's almost like your head is a little computer. It's like, okay, that's the one I'm going to use right now. Okay, and it just comes off and you get to do it. And it takes time, it takes practice, it takes repetition. Right? You're going to have your call groups. Your call groups, if you guys are willing to commit to those call groups and make your calls and do your lead gen, the growth you're going to see in your business will be amazing. The opportunities you're going to have will be amazing. So if you're here to actually make money that will actually filter into having a good life, then all you need to be doing, if you did nothing else that we talk about this entire night, if all you did was make those calls, those 3 days a week, you're going to be laughing. It'll be great. You will be.
I'm already laughing.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be set, totally set. So that's really exciting. Ground rules we talked about. The key to the whole being here is just participation. So open-minded, be willing to participate, be willing to connect and communicate with your colleagues and learn from each other. There's no kind of, it doesn't need to be like a strict, okay, we're in classroom concept. We're really here to help each other and grow together. So, especially if I'm teaching, everyone will set it up differently, but feel free to you know, ask a question at any moment or share a story that you feel would add value. And the key being that if we're gonna speak or we're gonna, like, if you take up time within this group here, it's really important that we're adding value to the conversation. If it's something very specific that you feel like would be just about you and for you, write it down, make a note of it, wait till after class, and then approach the presenter and have that chat with them then, so that we're respecting everyone's time. And make sure your phone's off. Okay, so who knows, has anyone heard about the big why? Their big why, has anyone heard about that? Yeah?
What are you in for?
Yeah, what do you in it
What are you
for?
in for personally?
Yeah, that's great.
What's your motivator?
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else, has anyone heard of the big why, or does anyone have a sense of what their big why is? So, the big why, again, Gary Keller, it's the concept of what drives you, not only in your mindset and attitude, but what you're passionate about, okay? So what stirs your soul? Why are you in this business? What do you hope to achieve for yourself and your family? And it's the idea that the answers to these questions are the basis for your big why, okay? And to fuel that big why will take money, right? It'll take an income goal. Because usually a big why requires money to make the big why happen. So to achieve success, you need motivation and inspiration for doing it. So the big why is what motivates you to actually do the work, to make the money, so that you can support the big why. So it kind of all comes back around in a big circle. Does anyone have a big why here? Do they know? Yeah, Lauren, do you have one? Or do you want to share with us?
Yes. Well, as you heard, I was having my small business for so many years. I was selling cars, and I was, let's say, economically fine, was making money. But I was a little bit tired of doing the same thing. Then I got my daughter. She's now 15, but at that time she was younger. And as a single mom, I always thought that it's better to teach your kids with that example, and instead of just telling them go to school, finish university, do this, do that, because it's easy to tell them, right? So it came to my mind. I always wanted to be a real estate, but I was so much involved in the car business, I didn't have the time. So I said, now I have the money and I have the time, and this is a good time to show my daughter that you can start anytime. Once you set your mind to do something, then you're going to get something that you are capable to do it, no matter how old you are, what language you are, where you're from, or whether you're single or married, right? So I wanted to show her that I can be a successful person again, not just in my other business that I had everything, that I dropped off everything and I start again from zero. And she saw me going to my books, exams, money-wise things, because I was not working and I was just doing this as a full-time since day one. Because I knew as soon as I started making money in the cars, I would drop to real estate business. Because on the cars I make money every day, and the real estate business I make once every 3 months or whatever I sell, right? It is tough. For a person who is already up here, I started down here, it's very hard. But I think I'm achieving what I wanted to, like, show her, see how many houses I'm selling, and this month I did doing good. And she goes, yeah, Mommy, you're doing good. And I said, you see, like, if you set your mind to something, you can always get it. So it's more like the feeling of I'm teaching my daughter a way to be successful in life. So that's my why, and I want to keep doing it. And sometimes I'm tired, but I say, this is what I want to do.
That's fantastic. So your daughter might be your big why, you know, and
Yes, she is.
and teaching her.
Yes.
You know, other reasons, like what your big why might be, is to have your financial success tied directly to your efforts instead of a salary controlled by the opinions of a boss. To build your own business, to achieve a bigger life through business. I want everyone just to write down the date, October 2nd, 2019. So just visualize that, October 2nd, 2019. That's 1 year from today. Okay? So that's 12 months from now. Now imagine this date is today. Your business is thriving and your life is everything you've dreamed of. Your clients rave about the experience and value you provide and think of you when they think of real estate. Your family and friends are so proud of your success and are consistently referring business your way. You are helping others live their dream of owning a home because you're focused on helping them get what they desire. You're building the foundation and momentum for your entire career and gaining relationships and experiences and the income you desire. You are the top sales representative in your market center, or Rookie of the Year if you're new. You're poised to hire a part-time assistant to handle your 80% while you take care of the 20% that grows your business. You are on the path to build a career worth having, a business worth owning, and a life worth living. Sounds pretty good. So, we're going to ask a few questions, and the goal of this is to come up and have us, in the end, come up with what your own big whys are. And it might go deeper than just, for instance, what you said just now. And that's the goal, is that big whys can be adjusting, they can be changing, and the more we think about them, the more effort we put into them, the deeper we go on it, the deeper we get with it. So we're going to start with, what is your driving motivation? The why or goal for a career in real estate. So what is your driving motivation for a career in real estate? So if you can write that down. Your driving motivation for a career in real estate. What is your goal with being a realtor? And it might not even have anything to do with real estate at all. So keep that in mind as you're writing down your answers. So what's your goal for a career in real estate? And then, what will achieving your goal mean for you? What will achieving your goal mean for you? So the first one was, what was your goal as a career, having a career in real estate? And then, if you achieve that goal, what will it mean for you personally? In what ways will your life change? Yeah, so the first one was, what is your driving motivation, the why or goal for a career in real estate? What will achieving your goal mean for you? What will achieving your goal mean for you? And then the next one is, in what ways will your life change? And what doors will open for you? So from what you've just written down, the goal of what you just put down there is to summarize that into your big why. So into a big why. And again, this doesn't just happen the first time necessarily, it takes some time. But the goal right now is to kind of look at what you've just written down, and from that, summarize it into like a few sentences, big why. So for me personally, and mine's always changing, because you'll create a big why and you accomplish it, so you're on to the next thing, for instance. Other times, other people, their big why stays the same always. So it just depends on where you're at your life and what your big why is at that time. For me, when I did this little activity and I summarized it, it came down to providing affordable housing today that will enrich the lives of people in my community and pass this legacy on to my children. So me personally, what I'm doing right now is buying investment properties, and I own a bunch of them. And in those investment properties, I'm creating opportunities for single moms to have really nice apartments at a very reduced rate, so that everyone gets to live, well, not everyone, but people that wouldn't get to live in nice places get to live in nice places. So creating that legacy that I'm doing right now to be able to pass that legacy on to my children is my big why at the moment. So my kids are tied into that, there's community tied into that, there's personal wealth strategy tied into that. All of those key pieces are tied into that statement. So did everyone come up with at least an example of big why for themselves right now? And if you have, pull out your phone and take a picture of it, please. An example of a big why that has shifted for me a little bit was that up until recently, my big why was adopting a little child, a little person, and I've started that process and it's happening right now. So I know that that's going to get accomplished and done. So that's why I've shifted my big why into like a new focus and new energy. So that's an example of, you know, a big why shifting and changing. And it can be totally personal based. It can be business based. Again, it'll just be whatever resonates with you. So then I want you to think about right now, what could get in the way of you achieving your big why? What are some of the things that could stop you from achieving your big why? And just take a minute to think about that and write down any thoughts that you might have on what could get in the way of you achieving your big why. And then I want you to counter that with how can you prevent that from happening? So what could stop you from achieving it, and how can you prevent that from happening? Okay, so now is where I'm going to turn the tables around a little bit, and I'm going to ask you guys to participate, if you're willing, and ask you to share what you came up with as your big whys. So for you right now, what would you say your big why is?
Can I sit?
Sure, sure, whatever you like, Tashi.
Yeah, actually I'm quite new to Canada, but still in this short span of time I've seen the one that you said, the affordable home. Like many of my community, they have a 20 years story with Canada. They started moving from 2000, but still I can see today maybe 80% of them, maybe they didn't plan it properly, they're still living in apartments, they don't have a home. So from the time I came, I always had this dream that I should help them on a home. And that was my dream. And now the one you said, buying property and then investment properties and renting them, that is also a good strategy, which I believe. But I also have some other things that I want to do. And I think the one thing that may stop me is my health and my habits. Health in the sense like if you don't have good health, you can't do anything. Habit in the sense like I believe like in life everything boils down to one thing, habit. So if you have a good habit, your life is success. But for me, bad habit in the sense like I smoke, but I try to control it, it's tough. But if I smoke and if I ruin my health, there's no way that I can achieve my target. That's one thing. And habit also comes like procrastinating and being lazy and all these things. So I need to work on these areas. And apart from that, I think how I will solution for that is like I will exercise and I will optimize my good habit and eliminate or remove the bad habits. And I think I can do it.
That's great.
That is my
Awesome.
call.
Thanks, Ashley.
I have strategies in mind, but I think it's not very important now to say all these things because I feel first do it, then tell the world what you want to do. Instead of just telling all the things and tomorrow if you can't.
Well, but what you're doing by saying it is that you're basically allowing us to hold you accountable. So we'll be following up with you on that to see how it's going, right?
Yeah.
So if you're willing to share it, you're thinking it, you want to be there, and we're here to support you. So that's fantastic. Awesome.
Something.
Anyone else have a big why that they want to share? You're willing to share? Yeah, James.
I want to scale my business to take control of more aspects of my life. And I know that sounds in and of itself a little narcissistic, but the reality is when you have more control of your life, you're able to help more people. So when I have more resources available to me, I'm able to share those resources with the people in my life that I care about. And something that I think everybody struggles with is self-doubt. I mean, it's super easy to create a plan that will lead you to wealth or lead you to your goals, but as soon as you hit your first obstacle, it's easy to make yourself believe that that plan is foolish and that you won't be able to achieve it. So being able to overcome self-doubt is, I think, the biggest obstacle that I'll have to overcome.
So you want to scale a business large enough so that you can help other people.
Yes, but first I need to help myself before I can help other people.
Great. Awesome. Super. Chris?
I actually got something that might be a little original to anyone else.
Yeah.
I did the exercise too, so what I came up with was to use the potential of technology to bring new capabilities to the people who build our communities, and while building up a source of passive income for myself.
Awesome. That's great.
And I think in terms of the things that I think would get in the way would be uncertainty on which capabilities are the key ones to build out, and the cost of building it before it's a product that's available for sale. And I think the answer to that is really to sit with you guys and figure out exactly what it needs to be to bring the most value.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Joe, you're hiding back there in the corner. I see that you're slinking behind James there. Do you want to share with us?
It's a lot of similar things. I want to build a business that hopefully maybe my son can take over. I want to prove to myself that I can do it. I want to prove to all the naysayers that said I couldn't do it wrong. I want it to be at a point where I can have enough money to create passive income, through investment properties. And what will stop me? My self-doubt, which is a big obstacle for me. And I just have to keep doing it. Take rejection as a learning lesson and change the way I look at it. Don't look at it as limiting me. Look at it as an opportunity to learn and to move forward and to never stop. So
it's interesting in life, we all have this thing called ego, right? It exists in everybody, whether we like to believe it or not, but we all have it. And it's kind of at different levels with everybody about how it kind of controls their life or plays a part in their life or doesn't. And it's interesting because the ego can actually be a driver for a lot of reasons why we do things, but can also play the role of like that negative part of us too that says a lot of things to us that doesn't allow us to accomplish and achieve things. So the more we can kind of try and be in check with our ego and think about it and almost like talk to it as if it's like our little silent partner next to us, allows us to help that just actually be a motivator to what we're doing rather than being the star of the show. Like we're better off to be like the music of the show, if that makes any sense to anybody, you know what I mean? Like, so ego tends to be less apparent when we start to relax and be more calm and know things better, right? And in this world of real estate, the more we master our role as a realtor, the more we can control our egos. And we're not doing it for, I want to be number one and I want to make $1 million. We're doing it for the deeper reasons that we've just described here. I want to have a happy, healthy life and influence the people around me positively. So ego is just something to think about at all times. It also is something to really think about when we're in the field and acting and doing things, right? But that's another discussion. Kevin, do you want to share anything with us?
It's basically to what everyone says, and it's almost the same that I want to set a demonstration for my family members or even my wife or my niece in the futures that if I can get successful in this career, which is I'm happy with, and later down to the road they can change their career if they want to do it as well, and I'll be the first one to take them in, and as well as happy life. I still own my wife a honeymoon.
There you go. That's gonna be your big why right now.
Yeah,
keep it that. That's awesome though.
So I can do it.
That's a great goal to have though. How perfect is that? To be like, okay, I've got 1 year from today. This is the goal, and it's very tangible. That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
So that should be your big thing, honeymoon.
Yes.
That's perfect. Leslie?
Sure. So because of the 7-9 years that I worked with seniors, I saw a lot of seniors that lived in poverty. And then I dealt with my dad's retirement years in long-term care and whatnot. And so for me, it's very much, because I don't have any kids, I'm very tuned into how do I make the latter part of my life the best I can for myself and my loved ones. So it's about financial freedom, being completely debt-free, and ensuring my retirement years are full of travel, health, and prosperity. And that I can access the healthcare I need because I saw how expensive it was with my dad. So that's one facet. The other thing is that I want 100 doors for the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And I also want to develop a retirement community for that community.
Oh, awesome.
So that I have a place to go.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's strictly for that
Cool.
setting, because it doesn't exist.
Awesome. That's great. Pioneer. I like it. Joshua, do you have a big why?
Well, I always want to have financial freedom, and I feel that one of the things that come along with that is to always be helping or finding ways to help others in need. And I'd like to be able to guide others to have success, regardless of what job or profession they're in. But I must be able to point to them and use myself as an example of what they can do to achieve success in their life.
Super. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Joshua. Adam? Adam grunts.
So sleepy to make something. I don't have big why in real estate because I have no choice. And I was teaching for British before, but we did a part-time job. Right? saw the sign around my house. I think that, okay, we can do something. And I see that, and the market is so easy. After a few months, you can get license, right? And after that, making money, the big fat commission. You have more time to enjoy your life, right? And when we think about what we can do for the community, so maybe in the future, I think we need to save more money and thinking about open club for the people to do something. This is the bigger for, maybe for majority of us, making money is not big deal, and we survive. Old, strong, and handsome, beautiful people. But outside, I think many people, they sacrifice everything. The mentoring and everything. I think so we need to think about the way to have it.
Super, thank you. Laura, did you want to add to what you were talking about earlier?
Well, as what you said, the ego part is so true. I went through that for a little bit, and it was tough to overcome that. Because once you have a business that you've been set up for so many years, and start from zero, you will say, okay, you cannot go door knocking and ask for a job while you have people coming to you, right? And that would prevent me from doing my business. I was like, not embarrassed, but shy, and that brought me to a position where I was depressed. I was like depressed, I can't do this job, I can't.
Which happens a lot in the real estate world, yes. It's a world where if you work from home especially, then you're on your own a lot. And if things aren't going your way, then it's very easy to become depressed and not happy and feel really stressed out.
And to overcome that feeling of, well, you have to forget who you were before, what kind of business you were doing and how much money you were making, and then you are starting from zero. And it was very tough. I think I was depressed for like 6 months. And one day I said, I need to do something. I need to do something. I have to overcome. I was depressed. And I didn't recognize that. Because you don't know that you're depressed. You just don't do business. But you are depressed. Because I couldn't go and say, oh, I changed careers and I want to sell real estate now. People have to know that I'm selling real estate now. And people say, Laura, why are you not selling real estate? You are so successful. You have a business. You talk to people. You meet
You've got a huge calling list to call. The cars you sold over 20 years. It's perfect.
I can't. I don't know why.
We'll get you there. Don't worry.
No, now I'm doing better.
Okay, good.
Now I'm doing better. But it's true. It takes so much effort inside you, especially when people who've been in business for so many years, consider it's very tough. The ego. It was the ego.
And so on that note, something to know that's really important is that coming in and every day to the office and working from here versus working from home can change your mental attitude and give you so much more help and insight and camaraderie and feeling like you've got the colleagues and the people to talk to. It's really important to do. You can sit in here, you can sit in the bullpen, you just all of a sudden have conversations and you get help on things, and it's a totally different experience than just sitting at home in front of your computer. So please do get your butts out of your chairs at home, come in here. You'll find you're more productive, you're gonna learn more, things are gonna be happening for you, you're gonna feel the energy and the excitement around it, rather than staying home.
I have a question. Usually, I heard about that. Each office only 10 to 15% of the people are very active, right? But the active person in our office, but the percentage of active agent in our office.
In this office.
In the office. Because I heard about that, we do have about 50,000 agents in total real estate world.
Yes.
And about half of them could not make 2 deals per year, right?
Oh, how many people are actually selling, you mean?
Yeah, so in our office, how many
So in any office, in any real estate brokerage, this is a totally separate question, but I'll just fill you in from that side of things. There's basically a third, and a third. You get a third of people that aren't really selling, you get a third of people that are kind of selling, and then you get a third of people that are really selling. That's the general. So all of you want to be up here, and the third that are really selling, because you're going to be purposeful, and you're going to be lead genning.
A third of the people, you can apply the 80-20 principle. I think it's actually a lot more dramatic in real estate. I think 5% of agents do 95% of the business in Toronto.
As a whole city, yes.
Yeah. So, but I heard the same thing. So a third, 33% of agents in Toronto won't do a single deal in a given year. 33 will do 1 to 2 deals, and then
Or 1 to 4 even,
Yeah, and then another third will do more than that. But you're asking specifically our brokerage?
Yeah, but that's about right for us too. But we're gonna move on, because we're gonna break down something that's more exciting than that. We're gonna break down how much money we wanna make. Okay, everybody? So write it down on a piece of paper or on your computers. I want you to write down your annual goal for this year.
Money-wise?
Yes. How much money do you wanna make in the next 12 months? So let's assume we're writing our business plans for 2019. So it could be Jan to Jan. Yeah. So what do you want to make in 2019? And write it down. Big numbers. And then I want you to write down the average sale price that you believe, or you already know because of year over year, or if not, you think that you'll be selling. So the average sale price of the home or condo that you're going to be selling. Okay. So then below that, what is the average commission you're going to make on each transaction? And I'm going to tell you from a business side of things, in my world of real estate, it always ended up at about 2.2, 2.3 for me. That might be high for the average, and what we were averaging in the office at one point was 1.75. So, 2 is probably realistic, if you're using a realistic number. Certain people in the office charge 3%. So it just depends on what you think you're going to be doing. But if you're taking buys and sells into account, on the buy side, you should generally be getting the 2.5%. On the sell side, you might be throwing in something if you're doing 2 transactions, so maybe it's 2%. But if you're using 2%, I think that's very realistic. Okay? So you've got how much money you want to make, your average sale price, your average commission rate. So then times your commission rate by your sale price, and let's work out your average commission on each deal. And then approximately, based on your average commission and how much you want to make, so multiply your average commission in order to figure out how much you, like if you said $100,000 and you're making $10,000 on each deal, that's 10 deals in a year. So how many deals, figure out approximately how many deals you're going to need to make to hit your goal. Feel free to pull your calculators if you need to. Yeah, Laura, how many deals are you doing in 2019?
Is that a net? Sorry, is that a net dollar you're trying to go for?
Your net GCI, yeah.
I have 18.
18 deals, okay, awesome. Great, fantastic. What did you put down as your average sale price?
600.
Okay. So with this example, we'll chat about this right now, but what you take away from this and do is playing with it a little bit and looking at, if I switch my average sale price to 800,000 and I up it to 800, how does that change how many deals I have to do,
Less deals.
right? So taking a look at that and setting a goal is a bit higher.
Yeah, I'm doing like average 600.
Yeah.
Some of my clients, they go for condos, which is easy to qualify for mortgage, so it's about 400.
Yep,
But I know my clients are going for 800, right? So
yep.
we average 600.
Sure. So year over year, when you're setting your goals, it's really important to look at that and obviously be realistic on what your average sale price would be, but set higher goals. And I announced at the office a few years back actually, where I was like, I want my average sale price to be $1 million. It's gotta be $1 million. We live in a city where $1 million is like, no, if we look at the sales and what's going on, and honestly, as soon as I said it, within 3 months, I was there. I was way higher. And my average sale price that year ended up being 1.3. So it's really doable, it's really achievable. If we set it out there for ourselves, if we're looking at it daily and we're focused on that, then that's what's gonna happen and that's what's gonna come around. So it's just something to keep in mind as we're setting these goals. Les, what about you? How many deals in 2019?
18.
18 deals again. Okay, interesting. Great. Fantastic. What about you, Tashi? How many deals?
25.
25 deals. Okay, awesome.
There's 25 deals to make,
Yeah.
to reach
That's fantastic. That's great. James?
Oh,
12 deals. Great, 1 a month. Fantastic. Joe?
8 deals,
8 deals. Okay, fantastic.
7.9.
Okay, Joshua?
25.
25. Okay, we got another big number there. Kevin?
12 to 15.
Okay,
So,
Yeah. yeah. Adam?
From my own experience, I see that you have to get something, you need to sacrifice other things. I plan only for 6 deals this year.
That's okay. That's great.
You know, because I want to work only 3 months.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
do 2 deals per month for 3 months.
Yeah.
My goal.
That's great. It's going to be different for everybody. One person's goals do not mean that someone else's should be anything like that. So this is very personal, and I didn't ask you, Chris, but
Yeah,
you're not, yeah, go ahead.
I want to bring in about 200 subscription users. So obviously the
Mhm.
price point of each deal is lower than you guys,
Awesome.
50 to 80 range.
Great.
That's enough to be able to bring in a salesperson and go from there.
Yep. So what I want you to do, as you've all said, how many deals you're going to do this year. So for instance, you guys said 18. If we had 2 more deals to your 18 and we make it around 20, that's 2 more commissions that you're making. Does it sound that outrageous to do, like 2 more deals in the grand scheme of things? Maybe not. So all I'm saying is, it might be,
Have a stretch goal.
yes, you've probably written down a goal right now, like 12, which James, I'm gonna challenge you on that one. You
Yeah,
can do it.
exactly.
Oh my
Come on,
gosh,
James.
honestly, yours needs to be up at 20, please.
Make
20,
it 24, 2 a month.
perfect.
I like them.
I like that,
That's
that's much better, James, I like it, you just doubled it, that's fantastic.
So maybe
Stretch it out a little bit.
Maybe he's looking at.
Absolutely, you could have a higher price there, which means maybe it's less deals, but then you've altered it somehow. And the point is, if we set low goals, we're gonna achieve
It's a low
exactly. If we set higher goals, even if we don't hit the 20, we'll hit the 18 is the point, right? So the bigger we set our goals, it's that concept of like a hairy, like bodacious goal, we're gonna get a lot closer to that bigger goal than if we have a low goal. So Joe in the back, I'm gonna challenge your number a little bit and get you to up it.
To the rest of
At least 1 a month, at least. Kevin, your number could probably be
That's
higher. You're young, you're
What did she
excited,
say?
you're ready to go here. Your number could be higher as well. So let's challenge ourselves to do more than we potentially have set ourselves up to do.
It was,
Is
What
the
did she
idea.
say?
like,
Per month, how many
it was
deals?
like 8 to 10, already double it, already more like 12 to 15.
I love it.
More or less
Well,
the
there you
same.
go.
I think it was 6 to 8 deals or something like that.
Again, it's limiting
My number's
beliefs,
kind of
right?
low.
So
You guys
set
should change
ourselves
that
up for
number.
success, and success is gonna come, and success is gonna be happening.
Had a tough year, so
Okay.
if I get this, I'll be happy.
No self-doubt.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it, not here.
There you go.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Did all that. How does that make you feel when you see this, by the way?
You
Like,
know, we need your mind, or you know, everything alone.
I'm not selling real estate anymore. I've moved myself right out of it, yeah. Yeah. I sold actively, so for 13 years. So basically, I started, my mom was in, my dad had joined. I decided to get my license and start working with it, but I was actually working as an assistant to my parents. I didn't have my license yet, but I was getting my license. And I was learning the business from the ground up, which is really important to do in any of your businesses. Before you hire an assistant, make sure you know how to do everything first. You should do it all. It's your puppy, it's your baby, it's your livelihood, it's everything. You should know it all. So I worked as their assistant first, and then I got my license, and it was go time. It was just kind of go. There wasn't a lot of shadowing. I didn't think, at least, although obviously I heard a lot of stuff being said and going on. And so I moved downtown, bought my first condo down there, and I started my business downtown, selling condos, because I was hip and cool, and it was fun, and living the life. My mom and dad are out here selling much higher price points because they're selling in the West End houses, and my price points were much lower, but it suited my personality, it suited who I was. You know, I really enjoyed it, I fit in, I did extremely well. I was selling minimum 4 places a month, but up to double that. I was killing it. I was the multiple offer queen. There wasn't an offer I went in on that I wasn't getting. And on the sale end of things, I was getting sale prices for my clients that were really high. I was really motivated. I loved everything that I was doing. And then I started to notice that I could be making more money if I started joining my parents out here in the West End. So then I started shifting and started moving from the downtown. Now, what was great too was all these people that had bought condos were ready to buy houses. So that started to shift for me. So then I came out here and did a lot of the houses out here. So I did that for 13 years. I would say the first 5 years I worked 24/7. Now, mind you, I wasn't married, I had no kids at the time, so I was able to do that. I worked all the time. The only time I wasn't working was because I got on a plane to take a holiday. But that's how I chose to do it then. And not everyone's going to choose to do that, and it can be different for everyone else, right? So that's what I did. And then as I moved along in my life and got married, had kids, things started to shift for me. And then I got to a point where I realized something's got to give. Because to be for me personally, to be a successful realtor that is really looking out for her clients' best interests, I had to be on a lot more than I was capable and willing to be on with these little people in my life. So that's where I decided to step back from sales and do stuff like this instead, and run masterminds and mentoring and teaching and guidance and helping people. So that's what I do now. I helped Courtney, my sister, go on she was selling one of her listings the other night, and she said, hey, listen, offers are tonight, I've got nothing, I'm nervous, what's going on here? I said, listen, I'll come with you. And at time of offer, at 7 p.m., there was 5 offers at this point, and by being there with her, I didn't have any attachment to the clients, or I didn't put any of the effort or work in, so for me it was fun. I got to go and just be there on this offer presentation. So I brought a lot of levity to the circumstance and situation to keep the clients happy and everything fine, because a lot of times when they see offers, they're low to start, which they were, and then they made their way up. I was able to coach and guide Courtney on the scripts and things to say to all the realtors in the circumstance. And by doing those 2 things, we got to a great sale price that everyone was really happy about. So that's what I do now, is I help people, all my colleagues and people around me, and I'm always happy to help. I answer my phone. Joshua knows, he calls me not too often, but sometimes. And I respond to text messages very quickly and easily, and I'm happy to help anyone in any of these circumstances. And if it is, hey, I'm going on a presentation, I need help here right now, I'm happy to help you do that, because that's what I love to do. So that's what I do now. That's my little one-on-one. Yeah. Okay, so a big part of this is habits, and the concept of creating the habit of committing to doing lead gen every day. Now, we're going to talk about this going forward, but your lead gen, you might decide, like for instance, in this Ignite section, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings from 9 to 11, I believe, right? So those 3 mornings. If that's all you commit to and it's not happening the other days, well, let me tell you, that's a way better habit and commitment to have than nothing else. So in a perfect world, it would actually run at least from Monday to Friday, not just the 3 days, where you have a 2-hour window every morning from 9 to 11 where you're lead genning. And maybe it's phone calls, maybe it's door knocking, maybe it is pop-bys to past clients that you're going to see and you're asking for referrals. So it depends on what you can decide what the lead gen looks like, but you create a 2-hour window each day, you're actually actively lead genning.
So it doesn't have to be on the phone.
No.
I think it's just communicating with people.
It's asking for the business. Actively asking for the business. Yeah. So it's the whole idea of not being the secret agent, but being the opposite, so that like everyone around you knows, yes, this is who that person is, and they also help a lot of people buy and sell homes because that's what they do, right? So it's really important that people know that. So don't be, realtors sometimes get a bad rep, so it's like, don't feel like you're grouped in with them. Be who you're gonna be and just express that, right? So don't be the secret agent. And your calendars are extremely important. Your lead gen should be in your calendar every single day, and you protect that time. It's very important. Think about something else in your life that you protect, and you would never let something else get in the way of that. Maybe it's time with your daughter, for instance, or it's your workout, or it's something to do with your faith, or it's something to do with a club or a group that you're a part of. And you would always make sure you're there on time, and you're always showing up and participating and doing what you need to do. That's what you want to think of how you should be thinking about your lead gen to really make this business work for you. So from the experience that is in the room right now, how long would you say it takes to get a buyer or a seller in contract? So getting them to sign a listing agreement or a buyer representation agreement. From the start of working with that person as far as an initial phone call or opportunity, how long would you say it takes to get to that signed to your client now?
Different, whether it's, for me anyways, it's different cold call versus a door knock. It's taking longer with cold calls to build,
Over the phone.
to nurture them over
Yeah.
the phone.
Yeah.
Even to just be able to pop by, like for them to be open to that happening.
Yeah.
The door knocking is proving to be quite good. So I'm pleased so far.
Great.
It's shortening, in terms of how long is that? Anywhere from 2 weeks to get an appointment to a couple of days.
Great. Fantastic.
And then sometimes it's, call me in 3 months,
Yeah.
check in the spring, so.
Yeah. So the key
The
that I'm
pipeline is
hearing,
being filled.
yes, you're filling the pipeline with opportunities and options, and the key that I'm hearing from you is that you're going to try different ways of lead genning, and the most important thing to do is to really put the effort and energy into one that works for you, because that's going to give you a payday a lot sooner than ones that don't, obviously. And you're going to be much more willing to commit to your lead gen time if you're happy doing it and you're willing to do it because you like doing it. Right?
Cold calling for the crappy days.
Yeah, there you go.
The crappy
Days
weather.
like today, yeah.
And if it's sunny, go outside.
Yeah. We know that the best way to connect with someone and get any kind of response from them is face-to-face. Second best, phone. Third, any kind of tech stuff. Your best way to connect is face-to-face. That's great. Awesome. Love it. So I wonder if the phone's on here. It is.
Adrienne,
Yes?
last time you said you would give us, you're making the tools through which we can get buyer release this presentation.
Yeah, so Chelsea's got it all now.
Uh,
And so what Tashi is talking about is that we've created, as a buyer agent and for sale, for listing agents, so both packages. Did you see it yet, Laura, or not? Okay. So it's everything you need. So it's a buyer presentation, it's a buyer's handbook, it's buyer's 101 when working with a buyer, all the questions to ask, everything you need to do. It's everything. So I've created all this stuff. I've now passed it because it's in Google Docs, and I started sharing it that way, but then realized if people aren't too versed with Google Docs, they'll start switching my documents. So I didn't want to send PDFs because I want you to be able to alter and adjust it for yourself, meaning take a picture, put your name and your own picture in, and you've got the document. So Chelsea now has it all and is creating it. I think she's going to be putting it on KW and our agents, our agents page. I believe that's where she's putting it, but she's going to post it on the Facebook page very shortly to say it's available and accessible. So if you ask her on the way out, it'll help put it at the top of the list of things to do. Yeah, that's great. So we've got it both for buyers and sellers. And again, it's from years of getting that years of information built up by my mom, and she really followed this whole program called Buy Referral Only for her business, and that's the whole concept and idea of picking up the phone or visits with people that you know already, because your opportunity to get them as a client is a lot greater because there's already a level of trust that's been established, rather than someone you don't know that you're just calling on the phone like a cold call. So Buy Referral Only is this guy Joe Stump that's created Buy Referral Only, and you can they've got tons of material and things that you can follow. It's a fee to pay into it monthly. But basically what my mom did over the years was create all these documents based on the concept of building your business by referral versus cold calling.
Did you do buy referral only too when
Yes.
you getting started?
Yes. Now, I would say, and this is what's interesting about this world of business and things you get into, whether you're new in it or you've been in business for years and you're coming at it, I found what happened with me was that I got into the business and I thought I knew everything. And so I attempted to change a lot of things in my mom's business. And basically, it took about 2 years, I would say, where all of a sudden I've started to come around to her way of doing things and her mindset and all those things. And I was like, and I probably never said that she was right, and I probably should do this now that it's been all this time. But it was one of those things that you know, you get into and you think you know it all, and I didn't by any means. And I learned, and over time I learned that, wow, the concept is the wheel's already been invented, and it's rolling.
Is my mom paying you to say this?
You?
Is my mom paying you to say this?
Yeah, I do the same thing. Oh my god, I love it. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm telling you, don't reinvent the wheel. It is so much of a waste of a time. It does not need to happen. Take all the tools and systems that have already, yes, just take all the professionals and the people that are doing really well, exactly, fill the gaps with your own personality and your own mission and vision, fill it with that. But don't try and reinvent the wheel. It's a waste of time. You can start making money way sooner, is the point. Yeah. So lead generation, it's kind of this funnel concept where at the top of the funnel, the biggest part of the funnel is leads, okay? So we fill that top of the funnel with leads, then we're gonna get appointments. Then and the reason it gets a bit smaller is because we have to probably do a whole lot more lead generation to get a few smaller appointments, right? And then from there, we're gonna get agreements, we're gonna get contracts with our buyers and our sellers. And then from the agreements, we're gonna get contracts, and from that we get the concept of money, the payday, right? So it's that funnel of leads, appointments, sign them up, close a deal, and then get paid. And it doesn't happen overnight, as we know. It can take, when we're lucky, it's 60 days, but it can also take 6 months, and then it could be, you know, years in the making that before you start seeing money from someone because of their circumstance. Okay, so your calls that you're doing Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, your goal of those calls will be to leverage powerful scripts in order to use the scripts on the calls. You're going to be building relationships. You're going to be asking for business, asking for referrals. And when we're doing all this, it's really important to have the mindset of coming from contribution. So we're not calling these people and just asking for something. We're actually coming from contribution in the sense that, how can I help you? How can I help the people that you know? Because I'm a really good person, and I know that I can help you and the people around you with their real estate needs. So if you're coming from a mindset of contribution, then other people are more willing to help you. Okay? Have you guys heard of this daily 10-4? Heard of 10-4? The daily 10-4? So the goal of the daily 10-4 is to add 10 new contacts to your database every day. So you write down 10-4. 10 new contacts to your database every day. You want to speak with 10 people in your database every day.
What page is that on?
I am currently on page 31. So the 10 people you're adding, you should be speaking to, let's put it that way. And if it's not those 10 people that you're talking to, then it's another 10 people that you're talking to. But add 10 new people to your database every day. Talk to 10 people from your database every day. Write 10 notes to people every day. And it might be database people, but maybe it's not people in your database yet. But really, if you're writing a note to them, they should be in your database. Add 10 people, talk to 10 people, write 10 notes. And a great way to write a note, if you think, oh gosh, what can I write about, is a follow-up to the conversation that you had. Great chatting with you on the phone today. Really enjoyed hearing about the children and what they're doing and how they're growing. The fourth one is preview 10 homes every day.
How do you get it all in a day?
Well, that's what your calendar's about. Yes. So agent open houses run from Tuesdays to Fridays. And so you're lead genning from 9 to 11. You're looking at agent open houses from 11:30 to 1:30. In the afternoon, you might have an educational component in the afternoon. So let's say maybe once or twice a week. With Ignite, it's a bit more, obviously. If you're not doing education at that time, then you can be working on the business and then in the business. On the business means improving your systems and your tools. In the business means showing homes, looking for opportunities for clients, writing deals, closing deals, that kind of thing. So you've got working in the business and working on the business. Okay, that's kind of the key things there. So the daily 10-4 10 new contacts, 10 people in your database that you're speaking with, 10 notes, and preview 10 homes.
The Brian Buffini 10 handwritten notes apparently works really well.
Yeah.
It's a good response because it's unusual.
It does,
Absolutely.
it does work well.
Yes. Who usually mail consists of bills these days, and even then, people aren't even like getting bills in the mailing board because it's online bills. So really, it's junk mail that you're getting. So to actually get a piece of mail that, like, I got a wedding invite in the mail recently, and I was like, oh, this is so special. I felt so special about it because it's rare that there's a handwritten
I'm not
card.
even using this, like, because I'm door knocking a specific area, I'm writing my notes, and the next day I go out, I'm on the next street, but then I deliver those notes myself. I'm not even paying postage, like, I'm just
Yeah,
talking-
perfect.
talking to them. I've run into them on the street, and then it's, hey, thanks for the note, hey.
Yeah.
It's working out well.
Awesome. That's the thing to remember in this business. You don't need to spend money in real estate to make money. You don't spend money in real estate until you're making money. Real estate is all about like the gumption to like get up and make the calls and do the work. And then once you're successful and making some money, then you can start looking at how you'll spend it to return the growth into the business. But that doesn't need to come at first.
No, not bad.
Yeah, anything, exactly. Even something as simple as mailing.
I have letter carrier experience, I know how to do this.
I love it. That's awesome. That's great. That's fantastic. Okay. So the goal of doing those 4 tasks is to obviously grow and manage your database, then prospect, meaning that you're connecting with people and talking to them. You're following up. Follow-up in this business is so important. I'd say that one of the biggest areas, like low-hanging fruit that people do not follow through on, is follow-up after open houses. If you run an open house and you get 20 to 50 people through your door, there is a list of people saying, I'm interested in real estate, I'm interested in buying, and I potentially have a place to sell as well. If you're not following up with those people right away, it's a totally lost opportunity that you're basically leaving money on the table. So create a system. Create a plan for how you're going to follow up with people after open houses so that it happens. And for instance, using that little, the app, Open House Pro, it's called, and people sign in at the open house on your laptop or on an iPad on Open House Pro. Number 1, the stats show you get way more real information. Number 2, their information goes right into a database automatically for you. 3, you look professional. 4, they get an automatic, thanks for coming to my open house today. Would you like to know the sale price of this home? Are you looking to buy or sell? Do you have a realtor? You have all those things right at your fingertips. You kind of know right away, kind of your green pot, your yellow pot, and your red pot of who to contact and when. So there's lots of ways to do it. The key is just following through and doing it. When you don't, it's like total missed opportunities. Okay?
Let's to last.
The other huge missed opportunity, and I know that when you're new to real estate, you're generally doing more buys than sells, and you're working your way up to becoming a listing agent. But as a listing agent, as soon as you've got an opportunity, a listing in an area, you should be door knocking all of those homes around there. Hi, I'm Adrienne Farquhar. I've just listed Jill and Tom's house down the road. You probably know them. They've decided to move from the neighborhood, so we put their house up on the market. I'd like you to come out. I've got a private showing happening tonight or from 7 to 9. I'll have some wine and cheese. You're welcome to bring the kids. Come on and see their home. It's really important to see what's on in the neighborhood so that you can get a sense of the value of your own home. You're building relationships with people in the neighborhoods you want to be selling in. And the only way that's going to happen, it's not going to be a flyer. Let me tell you, a flyer is not going to get you more business. It's you personally going there, knocking the door, talking to them, building the relationship that will give you more opportunities. Okay, James?
How did you do that with condos?
Well, depends on how tricky you're willing to be. Condos, the key is getting in. If there's a manager or a concierge, you want to be best friends with them. Okay, so bring them a coffee, bring them flowers, bring them whatever you need to do. Connect with those people. Find out, okay, how can I get in touch with everybody in the building? And they'll help you. Other times they won't, so it's hit and miss. It's trickier. Can I host info sessions in your condo building and be in the lobby once a month? And it's consistency that's key there. So, and wear the exact same thing every time, the exact same setup. So I was gonna say, when you're door knocking in a neighborhood, have a costume that you always wear, so that when people see that, they're like, oh, there's Leslie out doing her door knocking. So Brad, one of our realtors, Brad, who door knocks his neighborhood where he lives, over in the Humber Valley, he is a big jogger, a big runner, and he always wears his Keller Williams t-shirt. So he wears that running around the neighborhood, and he wears it when he's door knocking. And everyone knows him. It's a red t-shirt, you can't miss it. And they're like, oh, there's Brad. So it's just a thought, like, it can be helpful. You don't have to do it, but it helps. Yeah. Okay, sales language. I think we're on to scripts a little bit here. Okay, so just back to the concept of E to P. E to P is entrepreneurial to purposeful. Exactly. So we're trying to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Scripts are cool. They are really cool and lots of fun. They can just seem a little daunting or cheesy, but ultimately if you embrace them, they are truly successful and will help catapult you from being a realtor to a successful person, okay, in life and in business. The purpose, a great script is 100% client-oriented and benefits the client through the entire conversation. You never forget anything when you're using your scripts and you've got everything planned and organized. Everything, you hit on every point, everything you're supposed to say happens, and in a way that is beneficial for the person that you're talking to. So when you're talking to someone, they shouldn't have to like really think about what you're trying to communicate and say. They should just be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because if you're able to make it easier for them, then they can make a decision more easily and feel better about the conversation and the circumstance that they're having with you. Okay? What are some limiting beliefs you might have around scripts?
They don't sound organic or natural.
Okay, yeah, they don't sound natural or organic, they sound awkward.
Stuff from bold is very, it's very American, I find. It's very small town America, and it doesn't feel like it fits here in this urban center.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to make it your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And now remember, your intonation, your voice, your body language, your eye contact, all of those things adjust how a script sounds. So keep that in mind. Just because you're hearing it on a video for some of the stuff that you'll be doing a certain way, doesn't mean that that's how it's going to come across when you say it. Okay? So again, trying to remove those limiting beliefs a little bit, and thinking about the fact that ultimately, even if it's small town or in a different spot and it's America, adjusting it in your own voice, in your own, within your culture will be quite different, right, than how it is there. Yeah. Did you use scripts in sales before? No? Okay. Yeah? Okay, I like it. Here we go. It's okay. Listen, I mean, we've all had our ways of doing things, and what we're trying to do is just create sustainability so that things are very predictable for you in your business. Rather than having a real estate business that goes like this, which is generally the pattern, we want your real estate business to actually go like this, basically, and be very predictable. So that you know, month over month, how much money you need, how much you're going to be making, and where that's going to come from. So what it all looks like. It's mapped out for you the whole way along. Learning scripts, we need to internalize them, we need to memorize them. And before that can all happen, we need to practice them. Okay? So practicing scripts is extremely important. Learning scripts will make great things happen in my life. How do we feel about that? We're all going to say it together, okay? Learning scripts will make great things happen in my life. Okay?
Feel better already.
There you go. See, everyone's smiling. It's good. You know, these little things that seem cheesy. Let me tell you, I was like, I am not doing this. I can't buy this, no way. And then, as I said, about 2 years in, all of a sudden, they just started rolling off my tongue. And that's when things started to click. Within 5 years in the business, my phone was ringing. I was still doing my lead gen, but I wasn't the one like going crazy to make it happen. All of a sudden, it was coming to me. got your number from so-and-so, got your number from so-and-so. It was happening all the time that I was putting in, the wheel was turning out, it was functioning. And the scripts really helped and played a part in that. Tashi?
Adrienne, how much time will you take more? Because I have someone waiting quite some time.
Oh, then you need to go, then go. I think we're on till, it was just a 2-hour session, right? 15 more minutes.
Okay, then I will leave.
If you need to go, then go, yeah. If you've got someone waiting, absolutely. I think the sessions always run for 2 hours, 1:30 to 3:30. So we've got 15 more minutes, okay? So scripts take memorization, practicing, and then internalizing them so they become natural and they don't feel like, oh gosh, I'm in small town America right now and they're gonna be like, what the heck, lady, what are you saying to me? You know?
Where is this Ignite, this one? This one is in KVW?
And it's all good.
So if you need any help with any of the techie stuff with this, please see Chelsea and she'll help you access all the materials and where you need to be. Okay? Okay, so let's skip over that. We talked about that. So there is some scripts in here that you can start as a real starting point in today's material. One's I'm new to real estate, the other one's new to Keller Williams. Reminding them that you're in real estate, which is important sometimes, and that you're new to the area. So there are different scripts that you can practice and use. A really great thing to do, so now you will be practicing scripts on your calls. But the other thing to do is find an accountability partner. So in the office, find someone that you like, you get along with, you feel like will stay committed to the goal and the task at hand, and practice scripting with them. It's a great way to learn your scripts. Okay, so following and being accountable to the goals that we've set today, in the sense that some real basic goals. We've come up with a big why, each of us. We've set a financial goal of what we want to accomplish and do. Your big why and that financial goal should be on your bulletin board, should be on little sticky notes on your computer screen, should be your daily planner, it's inside. You should be looking at them every single day. It's that whole idea of, I don't want to look at my bank account because I know that there's like hardly any money in there. Oh my gosh, I can't look. And the thing is, if we don't look at our bank account and we don't look at how much, even if it's little, how much money is in there, then we don't ever really know. And without it really knowing, we can't grow it. So the more we look at it, the more we plan, the more we set our goals, the more we write it down, the more we can grow it because we have control of it. We're becoming purposeful in what we're doing and what we're looking at. So look at those goals, yeah.
I actually was sharing a cool story with my brother earlier, and a man, he wanted to do an experiment where he just began tracking his weight with the intention of not gaining or losing any weight. He just wanted to be aware of what his weight was, and the result was that he ended up losing 40 pounds over the next 2 years without changing any of his habits consciously. It was just being aware of what the results were that made him subconsciously change things that he did.
Absolutely.
So it's the same with Legion. Even if you say, I want to make one connection a day, if you just track it, you'll naturally start to go in the direction that you feel is.
Yeah. And that's the idea of living an active life versus a passive life. So everyone gets a choice. Everyone in this room can choose how they want to live their lives, and it's going to be up to each and every one of us. Do we want to just passively live our lives, or do we want to actively live our lives? And that's where that's going to come into play. Creating an action plan. If, everyone by November should have a business plan in place, but an action plan is more of like the actions that you're going to take to accomplish the business goals. So when we're making, and you can start, it can be simple. Start a list, make a list. Here are the actions that I want to put into place. Prune that list. Right? Anytime we start a list off, it needs to be pruned down. Look at the most important things. What really needs to happen? What could wait? And so basically what you're doing is you're prioritizing. And a good way to do that is to make a column that says important and urgent. And start to check off each of those things in each of those different columns to figure out, okay, well clearly I'm going to start with the urgent things. And those are going to accomplish first. And then set a goal for yourself. Every month I'm going to accomplish 3 of these things. When it comes to setting those goals, especially as a starting point, if you're not a natural and it's not natural for you to set goals, make them realistic. Get those done. Set 3 goals a month. Get through those, and then move on to the next thing. I find in this business, because we wear so many hats, you're the marketer, you're the salesperson, you're the tech person, you're the admin person, you're everything. So when we wear all those hats, it's easy to get pulled off in every direction all the time. stay really focused. Look at your action plan regularly and only do the urgent and important things. Let everything else go because those other things won't matter as much. Has anyone read The One Thing yet? That book, The One Thing? Yeah, Chris has? Okay, everybody, get the book, order it, read it. The One Thing. You can read it in a night. It's a really quick read. It's The One Thing. It's Gary Keller's book. You can order it on any of the book sites. Super easy read and like fantastic. It'll help you focus and help you get really like zeroed into the most important thing to be working on and doing. The One Thing. Okay? So I'm just going to say it now. So a few things. Get The One Thing book, read it. Create an action plan. Okay? So prioritize your action plan. What are you going to work on? What needs to happen now? What's next? Okay? And you can set priorities for those things so you know what you're doing. You're going to live by your calendars. You're all on computers. If you're using Google Calendar, any of the calendars, get your calendar set up now. And technically, it's just you plug it in once and say repeat every week. So you know every week, 9 to 11, I'm lead genning, 11 to 1, I'm open housing, 1 to 2 or 3, I might be doing an education piece or I'm working on the business. 3 to 5 or 3 to 6, I'm working in the business. I may be showing houses later on and I'm running open houses on the weekend. Your week should look the same, and as much as you might think, gosh, that sounds boring, it's the same thing over and over, get used to it. People that are extremely successful have embraced doing the same thing over and over and over again because it works. Consistency works. So start to live by your calendars. Your calendar, you should check it all the time. You should be looking at it all the time, your calendar. Know what's coming up, know what's happening in a few days. The night before, you should be looking at it, prepping for the next day. Sunday, okay, what's the week going to look like? Is there anything that's going to adjust or change in there? How should I work through that? Your calendars are extremely important. Protecting that time and protecting your lead gen time is extremely important. Be willing to share. You will be sharing your results and your report, like your numbers and how things went for you with your groups. No one is here to judge. We're all here to help each other and to help each other grow. So don't feel, the goal there, I guess, is leave your ego at the door, coming in here every day. Leave it at the door, come in and be honest, because the more honest you are with yourself, the more vulnerable you're willing to be, the more you're going to grow through this process. If you haven't already, please make time to see Mel to work on your basic numbers in the Career Growth Initiative, CGI. Set up a 30-minute appointment with Mel, our new MCA, to do your CGI. It will be basically your business plan.
I think the rest is doing that.
Oh, okay. Is she?
The rest is done fine.
Okay, well, there you go. So maybe it's Resta or Mel, they'll guide you to the right person.
Is there an app called Spotio for helping for door knock?
Sorry?
An app that's called
Spotio.
Spotio
I don't know.
for door knock?
I don't
Yeah,
know. There probably, there is, Joe, yeah.
Can Joe share it? How
Well, I don't use it, but I did download it, but I didn't like it, so I stopped using it.
It just tracks where you're door knocking
Yeah.
and stuff, yeah. I'm sure there is then, yeah, that'd be a good idea if you're into it.
Now, is this other one called Open House Pro? Is that something you put on your phone?
Yeah, you can have it on your phone, your iPad, your computer, it can be everywhere. Tablet, yeah. Yeah, it's a great one. I highly recommend that one. I haven't used the other one you're talking about, but there is a fee, but it's not, it's a one-time fee.
I think it's one time. I'm not sure Catherine would know what
Yeah,
it costs.
it's a one-time fee, but if you Google Open Home Pro, you'll see what it is. It's amazing. It's a great way of tracking and following up. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I don't know if maybe people didn't bring this with them, but it's this agreement of expectations, and then it's this other one too, which is quite interesting. So one is an agreement, I commit to attending all Ignite sessions, I commit to adding to my database 200 or more names and contact information, because the goal is over 10 days. I commit to lead generating, I commit to making business calls, I commit to completing my mission for each power session. I commit to being prepared for my clients. I commit to working on my 6 personal perspectives. I commit to following a time block calendar. I understand that I'm developing success habits, and I've discussed the commitment. And so it's a covenant that you sign and agree to throughout this Ignite process. The other interesting part of this is actually sharing this experience and everything that we've just talked about today with your family and going, or significant others, or someone you live with, and sharing this with them and asking them to commit to helping you commit to this and to giving you the time that you need, because maybe you need to say, when I close this door and I put my little sign on the door that says, please do not disturb lead generating, it means that you've committed to also letting me have that time and not disturbing me. So sharing everything we've talked about with your family or anyone you live with so that they also are committing to the same things that you're doing, which would be great because it helps everyone get on board. Okay, so today, guys, just a real quick recap. I think we've actually recapped mostly everything. Joshua?
Oh, I forgot one thing that I always, I'm thinking that I really would like. I'm not happy that I'm, such a short guy, not good looking, but what really upsets me is that Jade is so much taller than me. I was wondering if I could get taller as he is.
It's gonna cost you. This isn't free.
Oh, okay.
So the 4 key skills we learned today I talked about. Mindset, goal setting, accountability, and scripts. Okay? Those are the skills we've talked about. We talked about the 6 personal perspectives today. Commit to self-mastery, the 80-20 principle, moving from E to P, make learning-based the foundation of your action plan, so always come to everything with an open mind and be learning, trying to remove any limiting beliefs that we might have, and being accountable. The daily 10-4, 10 new people in our database.
Add them people,
Calls,
write the notes.
notes, and open houses.
Yep, so add 10 people, call 10 people, write 10 notes, and preview 10 homes. Okay? What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So thinking about the one thing, the most important thing. If I do this, everything else will be a lot easier. The one thing. Our goal over Ignite is to add 200 people to our database. And to start using scripts. Even if it's just one. Because I'm back actually, so I'll be seeing your faces again. This isn't the only time, exactly. Awesome, okay, so that, I know it's a lot. We kind of went through it all. Any questions, any ahas, anything you want to share? Or are you just also feeling like, gosh, I'm ready to go? We didn't even have a break or anything, so I hope everyone's okay.
So after what page did we learn today?
Well, we covered it all, technically.
To a page,
That whole, so it's just session 1. Yeah, no, that was session 1. So as you go, as you can see, today was really just setting the mindset and the expectations and the ideas of what this program is about and what it is. And going forward, we get into a lot more of the nitty gritty of being a salesperson.
So you help us do the business plan or anything here?
Yes, so
Or
your
we have to
business.
do it in our form?
Yeah, so no, so your CGI is the starting point for that. And then a business plan, you'll either be doing that with Aresta or within your mastermind group if you're in one. So there's 2 different areas. But actually on the calendar as well will be business planning sessions leading into November. So definitely attend one of those sessions. Yeah.
So is tomorrow or next day here?
So tomorrow is Wednesday. So
calling or door knocking in the morning.
in the morning.
And I believe Trish is
1:30,
tomorrow.
yes, Trish, okay, don't miss tomorrow. Tomorrow will be awesome, Trish is a great speaker. She's tons of experience, tons of knowledge.
Yeah.
So tomorrow morning you're on your group, you're dialing in, Zoom I think it is that we're using.
Yes.
So you're dialing in, having a 15-minute discussion about like sharing a script, practicing it, and then you're for an hour and 45 minutes door knocking or making phone calls to lead generate. And then in the afternoon you're in here from 1:30 to 3:30 with Trish. Awesome. Yay!